Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Creative on Purpose Live. This is a special series of episodes where I'm going through the core frameworks of the purpose-driven prosperity model. We have already covered the close the gap process, the decision triangle, and now today we're going to cover Be a Blessing marketing. And I'm sorry, I actually misspoke. We've covered the close the gap process, the forever framework. This is the Be a Blessing marketing framework. And next week, we will do the decision triangle framework. And just for anybody that's listening in replay, we have a decision triangle workshop free for all subscribers happening this weekend. You can just dash me a DM or leave a comment wherever you're watching this for information about that. And so, again, let's just kind of leap right into the main event here. I'm going to share my screen and walk you through the white paper, which is a really detailed summary, still concise, but a summary nonetheless of the Be a Blessing marketing framework. I'm going to go through about half of it. You can get the other half on Friday when it drops in your inbox, because it will be this Friday's purpose-driven prosperity model post. And then we have Cato, Penny, and Tanya here for a Q&A and any implementation questions that they have. This is just a bonus set of weekly calls for members of the Solopreneur Success Circle of paid subscribers. If you're interested in learning more about that, you know how to find out. And so with that, we're going to just jump right into the screen share and walk through the model. Okay, so here is the white paper that's in draft mode, because it's going to get dropped in your inbox this coming Friday. Basically, the premise of the Be a Blessing marketing is that if you have achieved some level of competence, or maybe you're actually good or even great at what you do, and decide that you're going to create a business around this, and you've crafted some sort of offer around the difference that only you can make in the way that you can make it, what usually ends up happening for the average solopreneur is you've got this skill, this talent, this thing that you can do that will be the best possible solution to the right person with a specific problem or an aspiration they want to achieve. And then you push it out into the world. Maybe you get a little early success. Maybe you get a little early traction, but at some point you find yourself struggling to fill your program or sell your offer or product or whatever it is. So then we kind of go into this become a digital marketer mode, and we start trying to learn how to leverage all the social media platforms. We listen to gurus and digital marketers that tell us we need a podcast or a book or a YouTube channel, and we end up spending 80 to 90% of our time doing marketing and sales stuff instead of actually making the difference that we want to make in the world, which can be very frustrating, can also be exhausting, and is certainly not as fulfilling or meaningful as making the difference that you started your business to make in the first place. So the premise, or the promise rather, of Be a Blessing marketing is that we are going to flip the script on the usual arc of the solopreneur. Instead of spending 80 to 90% of your time in your business doing marketing and sales stuff, and only 10 or 20% making the difference that you set out to make when you started your business, we're going to flip the script and spend only 10 or 20% of our time doing any kind of digital marketing stuff, and spend 80 to 90% of the time that we spend in our business actually doing the work that we started our business to do in the first place, making the difference that only we can make with the kind of people that are looking for someone just like you that shares your values and needs their talents to enhance their lives. And the secondary promise is that if you are just getting started and only have acquired some sort of level of competence, or are just pretty good at what you do, this model allows you to, because you spend most of your time actually practicing your craft, you will actually achieve preeminence, being the best in the world at doing what you do in the way only you can do it, much faster with greater ease and velocity than you would if you were spending most of your time being a digital marketer or following the advice of the online gurus. So the problems that I identify with traditional marketing, and really we're talking for the most part traditional digital marketing, is this idea of marketing overload, where we feel like we have to be everywhere all the time, all at once on social media and all the distribution platforms like podcasting or YouTube channels or blogs and broadcasts. The funnel fallacy, this idea that, is promoted widely by a variety of people in the digital marketing world, that you have to have this complex funnel where you're jamming a bunch of eyeballs in at the top of the funnel, hoping that enough of them will drip through to the bottom, usually 1 or 2% of the people that came in at the top that might actually purchase or enroll and invest in the journey you can take them on. And then the promise of a better way is that we will turn the great work that we do into our marketing and sales process, so that we actually are constantly just honing our craft and doing work that matters with people we care about, and not spending any significant amount of time doing things that we normally associate with digital marketing, like content creation, broadcasting, podcasting, etc. The foundations of success with the Be a Blessing model is know yourself. This is the exhortation that is emblazed across the entrance of the Oracle of Delphi. Just a quick aside from classics geek. In addition to know thyself, it also encourages you to that certainty is ruin, and that excess is also ruin. And the whole idea around knowing who you are is if you're going to thrive and prosper and flourish and be fulfilled by doing work that matters with people that you care about and making the difference only you can make, you have to actually know who you are. What are your core values? What are your guiding principles? What's the unique distinction that you bring to the difference that you make, to the change that you help facilitate, to how you go about helping people achieve the aspirations or solve the problems that you solve. You have to know what your unique ability is, and what your non-negotiables are, and what your guiding principles and values are, who you work with and who you don't work, what you do and what you don't do. You have to know what you're really good at. What are your inherent talents, the things that you've been good at ever since you can remember, the things that come naturally to you, in addition to any skills that you may have learned in school or on the job, any personality, strengths, and so forth. And you need to know where you belong. You belong doing work that is based on who you are, what your core values and guiding principles are, what you're good at, your core skills and talents, and where you belong. You belong with people who need share your values and need your talents to enhance their lives. And you need to be practicing that craft in alignment with your personality and your preferences. You should never be trying to engage in business tasks that don't resonate or actually create dissonance with the things that you're comfortable doing or that you like doing. There's no reason, if you don't like appearing on video, why you would start a YouTube channel or do live broadcasting. If you prefer to write, then you can base your entire business on email and blogging. If you prefer audio, you can base your entire business on podcasting. If you like video, YouTube and live broadcasting may very well be the way. And of course, a lot of us are comfortable doing more than one of these things. But again, you should never be putting yourself in a position where you're doing something that feels out of alignment with who you are and how you feel you show up best to serve the people that you seek to serve. The core principles of Be a Blessing marketing is this idea of mastery over marketing. The most dependable, sustainable business model that I know is to base a business on doing work that matters to you and matters to the people that you want to serve, and becoming the very best in the world at making the difference that only you can make in the way that you can make it. That is called preeminence. And if you become the preeminent one and only choice for making the difference that you make in the way that you can make it, the right people will find you. And if you serve and delight them and maintain your promises, keep your promises to provide the outcomes that you are promising to accomplish with people that actually lean in and do the work with you, you will never lack for business. You will get business entirely based on demonstrated success and referrals from people who are delighted by the work that you help them with. The other principle, the next principle, is empathy first. This idea that if you actually do the work of engaging in human-to-human conversations that help you fully understand and can relate to and resonate with the situation and the feelings associated with that by the people that you're seeking to serve, and you apply a little bit of what I call empathetic antagonism. You hold up a mirror and help them see what they don't see and reveal their blind spots, help them turn obstacles into opportunities, help them see the unseen leverage that they're missing, and reveal that in a way that gets under their skin just enough for them to take the intentional action that's necessary for them to make progress. And also the idea of tactical empathy. This is an idea that I learned from Chris Voss, this idea that we want to make sure that we resonate and are ensuring the people that we're working with, that we see, hear, and understand them, that it is possible for them to achieve the things that they want to achieve. And just that the fact that they're profoundly understood by you, and that by working with you, and through the effort of your empathy, you will help them engage you will engage the action of compassion, which helps them do what it is they need to do to help them get closer to the things that they want. And then the final principle is this idea of a marketing web versus a funnel. Funnels are leaky, webs are sticky. By constructing a marketing web where people can learn about you, become aware of, and you can earn their attention on whatever platform that you are initially connecting with them, they will eventually go to the place where you can have the most direct, clear, respectful, anticipated conversation that needs to happen for them to become enrolled in the journey that you can take them on and invest in the change that you can help them make. So the final thing that I'll go through here is just this flexible medium and strategic repurposing. I actually kind of covered this already, but this idea that, excuse me one second. This idea that you are going to engage with people in distribution channels, in connection channels, in networks, where you are able to show up fully and wholly as you are, the way that you prefer to stand up and be seen, speak up and be heard, and that you will be leveraging the communication mediums that allow you to actually make the most deep, human, connected, compassionate connection that you can have with those folks. And there are examples that I share where I do this using the Solopreneur Success Stack, or what's now called the Purpose-Driven Prosperity Model. I do this on Substack. Again, you can do this on whatever, if you have a existing website, you connect with people through email, or if you have a blog and you connect with people through your blog and comments, or it can be on social media or YouTube or podcasting, whatever it works. So you can read more about that in the white paper coming out on Friday, but that is some of the highlights of the Be a Blessing marketing system. I'm not going to stop my share. We're going to bring up Cato and Penny and Tanya, and we'll go through any of the questions or implementation advice that you all need.
Well, I was trying not to barrel in.
Barrel away, Cato. Don't
Well,
show up the way that you show up best.
one of the question I did write down a question, which is, and in my notes, which you were talking about preeminence in your field, and I was just curious about what are you were talking about. Oh, and they will find you, which I do trust, and I have found that right to be true. And but I was curious your thoughts on how to make this known, the preeminence, like how are I have some ideas because I do show up and in these things, but that was the question that was an important thing for me to hear right now and also think about for what I perceive as my next step, which is about storytelling in general and being a unique storyteller that brings all kinds of surprises and deep knowledge about that over many genres. And that's my next thing.
Yeah, it's a great question. And so the answer is it depends, in part because you can put your preeminence on display in many, many ways, including by keeping it behind a velvet rope and closed doors so that people actually have to become an insider before they even get to experience that preeminence. I was talking to a client yesterday about that, who has, through deep expertise and a fair bit of good luck, worked with some very well-known brands and well-known personalities, and has essentially been filling their programs or attracting and acquiring clients without any effort whatsoever, because the referral engine has people coming in. And when they were asking, well, how do I get more people to become aware of what I'm doing? The answer there is maybe you don't do anything. Like, just keep doing great work and letting these people who do have high visibility and large networks continue to talk about you, and that will help you reach more of the right people. For a lot of us, and I put myself in this camp, we don't have enough of an exclusivity ratchet to turn on to help bring awareness to the right people about our preeminence in our domain. And so in that case, and I think this applies to your situation, Cato, like being a teacher and being and showing your work is a fabulous way to put your emerging preeminence on display. And for instance, on Substack, which I know is one of the vehicles that you're leveraging and may very well be the center of your web, by building a community of like-minded or of people around a similar interest and putting your work on display. And in your case, I think one of your big strengths is your ability to facilitate and lead community. So a lot of what I see you doing is putting other people's work on display, which only amplifies the intrigue around, well, that's really cool, but what's Cato up to? What is Cato doing? And so the basic idea is that however you decide to do it, to make your primary daily enterprise around what we normally associate with posting or content creation is just showing people your work That can be the physical work of your illustrations or your ongoing story development, or that can be talking about the successes that people that are in your community or learning from you are receiving by virtue of their proximity and access to you as a respected figure in whatever domain you have. Am I answering your question? And if I'm not, that's okay. I'll answer another question. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I'll just say one more thing about this, because people, for a variety of reasons, might feel some objections bubbling up around this idea. Well, I can't just do great work. I have to figure out how to get it in front of people. What I have found, and this is the inherent in the name of the system, the Be a Blessing marketing framework, is that if you simply show up and this speaks to something we've talked about in the past, you have to be clear about what you do and you don't do for free. But if you just are visibly showing up and being a blessing, helping people, being useful to people that you are uniquely able to and positioned to serve, the things that we're usually chasing in terms of reputation and remuneration actually become naturally occurring side effects of just being useful and helping people. And I have yet to see that not happen. And what I have seen the opposite also happen. If you are constantly trying to hack your way and trick your way into earning attention and awareness, and forcing people to opt in so you can have a conversation, some sort of marketing and sales conversation with them, it actually not only takes longer, it is harder, but it actually gets you further away from the kind of business that you probably imagined when you started your business. Nobody starts their business because they want to learn tricks and hacks or become a trickster and a hackster. They start their business to make a difference. So why not just go make a difference? And if you can do that in a way that is on display and or delights enough people that can't help but express that through the changes in the way they show up in the world, or the fact that they're actually talking about you and the difference you help them make, they will be your evangelicals. They will be the ones that actually bring in business through referral, which is the easiest and fastest way to grow a sustainable and sustaining prosperous business. Go ahead, Penny, you're off mute.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm just trying to get clearer, more specific expression of my ideas, my beliefs, and the direction that I want to work. And the outline you give fits. It's a matter of it feels like a learning curve for me, but I'm not sure, because the response, I've spent the last week or so, 2 weeks, really talking to a lot of consultants and fundraisers, and I get the feeling like they're taking it in and considering it and processing it, and nothing's coming back yet.
Gotcha. Um, so a couple of,
That's not a
go ahead.
question, but no,
No,
I,
there is a question there, or at least I found a question.
okay, good.
Whether it's helpful or useful, I'll let you decide. But one of the things, one of the very best first step that I know with anyone that has had any success or traction with an offer or their business, and I know you have, is instead of looking out the window for what else can I do or how else can I do this, look in the rearview mirror at how you've accomplished any success in the past, and audit and assess those experiences. What are the elements that went into that success that you really enjoyed, that lit you up, that energized you? And what are the elements of how you achieved that success with someone that you found depleting or exhausting or difficult? Because if you simply identify the parts that lit you up and energized you and try to improve and enhance those while figuring out how to do less of the things that were depleting or exhausting, you are optimizing an existing system, which is 10 to 100 times easier than trying to build some sort of new system that has yet to be validated or proven. And you can, it can be difficult if you have a lot of urgency around earning income, and there's other ways that you can do this at the beginning that help you get some not just quick wins in terms of success in doing what you do, but also revenue wins. But for someone like you, Penny, that you don't have that absolute urgency, like I must make a certain dollar amount every month or else I'm going to have to go get a real job. Since you're not in that position, I would say you can afford to play the slightly longer game of figuring out what is the way that what do I want this business to really look like? Do I prefer to meet with people one-on-one once a week? Do I prefer to meet with people in small groups? Do I prefer to interact with people over email? There's a number of ways that it can be. Anything works. Any delivery system works. So why not choose the one that works best for you? Because if you do that, it will attract the people that would benefit from your approach, but also prefer to show up and interact in the way that you prefer to show up and interact. So I would give that some thought. That, of course, you and I are already in a coaching relationship. We can refine that as we go.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's because I'd like to generate a real conversation, and I've kind of hesitated from workshops because people come to a workshop with the idea that I'm just going to, and then they're going to leave, and somehow generating the interest in a conversation seems like it would be more fun for me. But
well, and you can also just one addition, Penny, is you can oftentimes starting conversations with the right people that are already right in front of you. It comes down to how you are crafting the beginning of those conversations. How do you ask the more beautiful question, or reach out in the way that creates the intrigue and the interest to reply. We talk about this sometimes on our other calls. When if you agree with my assertion that conversations are the fastest path to cash, then it's just a matter of figuring out how to start those conversations. And for most of us, it's not going to be by blasting people on social media or mass blasting out a broadcast to your email list. If you actually slow down and take it conversation by conversation and practice the art, Cato can speak to this too. Like, how do you invite someone into an exchange where instead of trying to play dodgeball, where you're going to hit them as hard as you can with the ball that you throw as fast as you can, you're in a ping pong or lob situation where you're just trying. The whole point is to keep the ball going back and forth over the net, and not slamming it home and winning points. And
Right.
that feels like it takes longer, but nothing takes longer and nothing is more frustrating than trying to figure out the missing piece, the hack or the trick that's going to get people to respond to you by using some sort of clickbaity, hacky, tricky one-liner that simply gets them to reply because out of urgency, scarcity, or what have you. Better to and the other piece of all this is you have to remember that the digital marketers have been at it for a long time, and they are responsible for a lot of the skepticism and cynicism in the marketplace, because there have been a lot of people that have applied a lot of digital marketing tricks and hacks in a way that has made people highly suspicious. They can smell a funnel from a mile away. They are deeply cynical that anybody can actually do any of the things that they promise in their offer stack or what have you. And they are highly skeptical that it will work. And if they're not skeptical that it will work, they are skeptical that it will work for them. And so it does take a little bit of emotional labor and empathy to meet people where they are in the marketplace right now, and earn the privilege of inviting them into a conversation and maintain that privilege through a honest, genuine back and forth that leads them that overcomes all their objections about it working or working for them, and actually gets them excited and interested in how can we keep this conversation going.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of those discussions you're talking about right now, and I have begun to contact people one at a time and talking and trying to engage them and finding out what it is. That's the two that I talked to this week is like, we don't have time. And they start listening to me, the kind of things they're doing. And it's not even a real fundraising job. They're having everything under the sun thrown at them at the last minute. Do this, do this, do this. And that was the way it was for me a lot when I was on staff. So at least it's helping me to kind of, I don't know the answer. One of the women I talked to today or this week, I actually gave her some of Jay Thomas's Art of Pace to reflect and think about and kind of follow for herself for a couple of weeks. And she loved it. So she's off doing that. Talk about slow to fundraising.
Well, the I don't have time argument, and this applies to people that actually are trying to make a difference in the world, but spending all their time on social media and in silly direct messaging conversations. It's amazing to me, people that say, I don't have time to just be helpful and useful and try to solve people's problems and earn the privilege of their enrollment and investment in the change that I can help them make. They don't have time for that, but they do have time to spend 8 to 10 hours a day grinding out content, posting it on social media, getting engaged in silly DM conversations that go nowhere. And all of that effort has zero return on investment. if you actually just showed up and were helpful to people, at the very least, you would be doing work that you love with people that you care about and having some sense of fulfillment, and you would be getting better at your craft at the same time. And over time, you will end up building a business that is anti-fragile because it's based on your preeminence. So you can encourage people that come at you with, I don't have time, to audit where their time is currently going and what the return on investment for that time is.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to swing over to Tanya before we run out of time here. Hello, Tanya, tuning in from Gay Paris.
Hi. Can you hear me okay? Because I have the headphones. Yes.
Yeah.
Every time we go through these forever offer principles, it becomes more and more ingrained. I think I really appreciate the reminders of aligning our offers with our values and where we want to be. And it keeps reinforcing this idea that I belong outside in community, in movement and stillness. So my question or my point of reflection is that I know that in the past, every time that I've done talks or workshops, it has been difficult to have I've been missing a step in inviting people to the next conversation. Sort of it's wrapped, it's done, and I'm in no mental capacity to take the conversation, to plant the seeds for the next conversation. I think now that I see the vision from, the next school year, like thinking, like, how do I plant the seeds now for people that are aligning with my idea to want to return in September for when we're back in the school cycle. So I think I have a clearer idea now, but I have now a workshop on May 16th, so exactly a month from now. And yeah, I don't know if I have a question, how can I apply this to make sure that in that workshop I leave the door open as opposed to this is just one workshop. So I don't know if it makes sense.
It does. And I actually have two reflections for you, Tanya. So workshops obviously are one of my favorite ways of applying the Be a Blessing marketing approach. And the beauty of workshops is that they have a beginning, they have an end, and they have a result. So if you create workshops that, help someone solve their most immediate problem or achieve their most immediate aspiration, and do that in a way that is, thoroughly delightful and aligns with who they are and what they want to accomplish and how they want to accomplish it, it will automatically reveal the next obstacle or opportunity. And you've just demonstrated your ability as a trusted guide to help them achieve that with greater ease and velocity. So it's just a question of thinking ahead about, okay, for the kind of person that I want to help, they have a situation that is causing them stress or disturbance. Well, you can't solve anybody's situation in a 30-minute, 45-minute, 90-minute workshop. What you can do is help them identify the most immediate impediment to their sense of thriving or accomplishment, resolve that, which will again automatically reveal the next bigger, bolder, audacious constraint. And again, by virtue of having helped them solve the first step, they are much more likely to be interested in learning how to take the second step. The other thing that I would recommend for you are in a unique position because even your business in some ways is more like a brick and mortar business, even though you don't have a brick and mortar location. You actually do what you do in real life. And when you do what you do in real life, and it involves a group of people, other people can watch.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about the walks that you do and what happens and how people respond and how they look, that are in your group, have you ever been to a historic location and you see a guided tour going by and you can't help but be like, oh, I want to listen in. I want to get a piece of that. I wonder how I can do that, right? When you're actually demonstrating in real time, in person, and people can witness the dynamics and the change that is happening, it becomes, for the right people, the people that would actually benefit from joining, it becomes something that they just can't get out of their head. They've got to learn more. And so figuring, in some ways, it's beneficial to do some of that, do that as often as you can without overdoing it, obviously, because if people see it all the time, they won't do it. So just to give a quick example for people that are tuning into the replay. When I had a guitar studio, I had a waiting list for onboarding new students. And one of the primary ratchets for creating that waiting list is that twice a year, I would put on a student recital at one of the major music venues in town. It's called the Floyd Country Store, and it attracts the place is filled all the time with music lovers. And there I would be, 15 students performing over a period of a couple of hours, students that were age 5 to 75, making music, having fun. And at the end of every recital, people would rush up, hey, I would love to learn how my granddaughter or my son or my cousin or my wife or my husband or whatever, how can we connect with you and learn more about lessons, right? By just giving away a couple hours of my time twice a year, I didn't have a funnel. I had a pipeline of people that couldn't wait for someone to, graduate from high school and go to college so that a spot would open up for them in my studio. And so when you are doing this kind of thing, if you can put yourself in places where the kind of people that would love to participate or experience what you're helping people experience, when they witness that, they will not be able to help themselves but to try to learn more about how they can become a part. You're leveraging status, insider, outsider status, fear of missing out, and all that sort of thing. And there's nothing, that we are status-driven creatures. We crave belonging, because belonging is how we build identity and how we satisfy our needs for not just identity, but safety, security, and that sort of thing. So I would encourage you to lean into that edge as much as possible when you're doing these walks around Paris.
Thank you. Very helpful.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All right, everybody. So that's today's episode. We've got one more of these lined up. We're going to talk about the decision-making triangle, which is kind of the catalyst to all the core foundational frameworks. Close the Gap helps you define your priorities, your most immediate constraints, and helps you collapse time to target to the things that will actually move your business forward. We just last week talked about the Forever Offer framework, which is a way of escaping the offer creation and launch hamster wheel and instead having one core offer that is evolving and iterative and able to be personalized for anybody that you seek to serve. we just finished Be a Blessing Marketing, which is how you can spend almost all of your time in your work, just doing the work that you love with people you care about, and almost no time on what we usually associate with marketing and sales activities. And the decision-making triangle, this decision triangle, is a way that you can more consistently make decisions better, because there's no such thing as better decisions, because decisions are not outcomes. But if you make decisions better over and over and over again, those decisions that are made better compound over time and help catalyze not just your priority and goal setting and strategy in the Close the Gap model, but also your offer creation, validation, and implementation, and also your Be a Blessing marketing strategy. So with that, we will wrap this one up and hope to see some of you next week. And yeah, and I think I'm going to see some of you in just a few more minutes on a coaching call. All right. Have a great week. Go ahead, Kate.
Can I get 1 minute? Tanya, can I ask you one question out of randomness? In Paris, do you happen to know anyone at Fortiche Studios?
No,
I
can ask. But I can ask.
Okay. I'm looking for a connection to Fortiche Studios.
Yeah, no, I can ask in my network for sure.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
All right. And now with that, we will wrap it up. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.